What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of TLG Reacts on Tasty Loot Gaming. My name's Seth, and joining me is Chevy, of course. And today we are going to be watching Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance gameplay and a behind-the-scenes developer dev diary type thing. In case you don't know, within the last day, a bunch of new stuff has been shown for the upcoming D&D Dark Alliance game, which is based in the... What is the... Forgotten Realms D&D thing. You're much more well-versed on that than I am. Yeah, this game was originally shown in 2019, I think, at one of the big conventions. It was a trailer that showed, like, Dritz and a bunch of other people in almost like when they do those Call of Duty videos where you can see, like, the camera on the gun while people are, like, running around and you see
like
their
they
face.
had GoPros.
It's like, like their swords had GoPros and shit. It's kind of interesting. Kind of threw me.
I hated it.
Yeah, it was confusing for a second. I was like, what the fuck is this?
It was such a bad trailer.
But it was interesting. I was just like, what's this tonally? Like, what are we doing with this?
Yeah.
So anyway, we're gonna have gameplay to watch finally. See what it looks like. Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it won't be good. I haven't watched it. Have you watched it?
Nope.
And then we're going to watch this Making Dark Alliance Episode 1 because I'm curious about what they're doing with this game. So before we watch these videos, I, of course, want to ask, what is your anticipation going into watching these, but also the potential of maybe buying this game when it comes out? What do you want from it? What do you hope from it? What do you expect? And give people some perspective on your interest in the subject matter, because it's based off of the R.A. Salvatore stories, which I know you're a fan of.
Yeah. Yeah. I do have a bit of a history with R.A. Salvatore books, as many people do. It's not like necessarily a rare thing.
Him and Chevy go way back.
I don't know about that. I have gone through, and every time like I forget to read the books for a while, I just kind of start from the beginning and reread them. And right now I'm going through them again in audiobook format. So it's actually pretty fresh on my mind. I love the characters and the storytelling, and any opportunity I get to see them portrayed in a means in which I get to interact with them, I always find exciting. Even going back to like Baldur's Gate 2 on PC, isometric, D&D style game, there was a cheat code to let you have Drizzt in your party. And it was just really neat. He was completely overpowered, but that was the whole point.
Yeah.
And then he's made appearances in other D&D games as well. So I'm always
Has there been a game mainly about him yet? It's really weird to me.
I think it's just because he's more of like a legend in the world type of thing.
I just feel like it's a huge missed opportunity.
Why
not do anything with him in a way that could get, and to do it right.
I 100% agree with you. The one time they did a story where you played as characters, they were all original characters.
Yeah.
So, and it was a fun game, actually. That was an action game where you swapped characters and you went through a story. It was a very linear experience, but it was fun. Hard. But. So, my concern is Wizards, or Hasbro, it does not treat their properties very well. Period.
That's all I ever hear.
Yeah. So I have low expectations because I don't think they care enough. Now, hopefully the developer cares, and I would love to like see this and go, I want to buy that, because I do have a fondness for the series. I don't know who's doing the writing either. I don't know if R.A. Salvatore is involved in the writing or not, because he doesn't have to be, because it's not technically his property.
Based off of his characters and his world and stuff like that.
One, he has stated before too, he has his own book series outside of Wizards because he owns that.
Have you read it?
No.
Have any interest in reading it?
Sure, eventually. I like the way he writes.
Definitely check it out.
But I'm trying to get through all the Drizzt books right now. But those are 100% owned by Wizards. Everything about him. So he just writes for him.
Yeah. I don't have an affinity for Dritz or any of that stuff outside of what I've heard from you. I know that you're super into it because I've known you for a while. And I've heard a lot about it, and it sounds cool. I just never read the books. But I do like D&D, or at least I liked D&D when I played it. I like the lore, the world, and any type of D&D game, whether it's actual pen and paper or video games based off of it, I typically dig. I don't think, because when I was doing an audio check, I kind of saw some footage real quick. I don't think this is going to be like the older D&D games where it's like top down, which was very interesting. We'll watch and find out. But which kind of sucks because like I really dug a lot of those games.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see what they do with it. So obviously we're gonna watch it. I'm gonna find out. But you know, as long as it's got like leveling and like gear and stuff like that, I'll be at home with it. But I have liked. Wasn't there a Dark Alliance game before?
Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, Dark Alliance 2. Yeah.
Yeah. And those were really good. I really enjoyed those. I mean, I even like Neverwinter, the MMO. I thought that was really fun.
That is somewhat connected because Ari Salvatore was involved.
Yeah.
So
Well, I believe there's one of the expansions you go to the Underdark or whatever it's called.
one of the last stages when you're hitting max level, you go to the Underdark.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I thought they explored it further though in an expansion.
in conjunction with that game coming out, there's a book he wrote called Neverwinter. So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited for this. I don't have like huge expectations because the game could be garbage. I don't know.
Could
but,
be 100%.
And I hope it's not because anytime I see someone dabble with something that has a fan base, I want people to be respectful and delicate with it because I've been fucked over in things that I've been a fan of, and I've watched other fandoms get fucked over as well. And so, you know, like I said, I don't expect this game to do anything amazing, but hopefully if it's just a fun game and that's about as far as they go with it, it's, you know, doesn't do anything to upset people who are fans of the characters' lore and stories.
Well, the good news is Baldur's Gate 3 is going to exist. So, and that's the same world. So.
Yeah. I've played it. An early version.
Yeah. And that team's awesome. So.
Oh, yeah. In that game, even when it was like buggy as fuck when I was playing it, I was enjoying it. So once they get all the kinks done, because it's not finished, it's going to be great. Yeah. So probably should watch this.
Yeah.
And should we watch gameplay first or Dev Diary first?
I think we should probably watch gameplay first
Yeah.
and then listen to talk about it.
All right. Sounds good. So we are going to start with the Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance new gameplay today via Game Informer, which is interesting because we typically don't watch videos from Game Informer, but
It's 11 minutes of gameplay? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's 11 minutes and they talk over it. Because a bunch of people got to play it. IGN also had a video 6 minutes long, but like I said before, that dude just kind of goes, just kind of like said a bunch of shit real quick, and I feel like these guys actually have like a conversation.
Okay,
so
okay.
this is where I saw a little bit of the gameplay, but not much. So ready?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Hello and welcome to New Gameplay Today. I am your host today, Alex Stadnick. Join with me, the king of the tabletop himself, Matt Miller. Hello, sir.
Oh, wow. What a lofty title you've chosen to
interesting.
give me today.
I think you fit. You are the
Play as
easily the best
Druids and
DM I've
catti-brie.
ever worked with.
Oh, well, that is very sweet.
Third person.
That's very sweet of you. Well, thank you. I do enjoy
I found
some
that was the
tabletop
last
role-playing
like
games.
fun game
And
that was based
and
in
the game we're talking about
D&D
today
stuff that I remember playing was
has
with the Resurrection
some
game
pretty
as well.
intimate ties to the tabletop gaming world.
I was going to say, what a perfect match because we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance today. And if you don't remember this game, think back to the Game Awards 2019 with the crazy metal soundtrack booming and like the very like focused on the warriors' faces like type of trailer. Like that's the game we're talking about today.
I thought that was a strange trailer. I'm going to be honest, and let's just get
Yeah,
that
it
out
was
of the way
kinda-
right
kinda
up front.
off.
It was an unusual intro to a project that I think now that we've seen it and I've played it a little bit, there's a lot more interesting things we can talk about related to the game.
Yeah, let's dive into it. So, like you said, you got to play it. You got your hands on it. It is an ARPG. What did you think? I guess I will defer to you on what stood out to you the most.
Yeah, well, I was a fan of the old, like 2001, I want to say. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance was a really fun spin-off from the Baldur's Gate games.
Big time, yeah.
The big things it did was that it offered cooperative play on consoles and was very action-y, right? It's a role-playing game, D&D world stuff, but it felt like
combat's
it was
a
real
lot slower paced than I thought it'd be.
action
Me too,
and looting
especially
and that kind of
because
stuff in the vein of
Driz
Diablo.
is like lightning fast.
And I have very fond memories of this game, and played it a lot with friends back in the day. And I think that they've taken the two core things, a focus on action and a focus on cooperative play, and they have brought that forward. In many ways, in many other ways,
play.
it's very different from those old games. It's not anymore like an isometric kind of view game in the style of Diablo. It's more like a third-person action game with, you've got your light attack, heavy attack, and you've got some special powers, and you upgrade your gear and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But it does put a big focus on the idea of like, hey, I want to play together with friends. I want to explore the D&D world, some specifically Forgotten Realms, and it uses what arguably are some of the most familiar characters to fans of that fantasy
Some of
setting.
those are pretty flashy looking though.
It uses some characters that really are in many ways kind of underused in video games. We have not seen the companions of the hall, as they're called, in of the video games that have been
just saying that,
around
Like
in
they
the D&D
exist, but they've never
license.
been,
And,
like,
and
the
here you're getting to,
characters.
you're literally playing Dritz and Wolfgar and Brunor and Catti-brie. Like those are your four leads that you get to pick between to play as, and that's pretty fun.
For sure.
There's only 2
Now,
or 4 player.
As you said, this is a
3
focus
player, the
on
dreaded 3
actions
player.
and RPG. But is this a game that, because I recently got into D&D over the last year, and that breadth
Yeah, I
of
wonder
choice
why. With
and
2020
not knowing
being
what's
a
going to happen next is always exciting. Did you get a vibe that players were going to get choices in that game, or is this a more straightforward narrative?
I think it's a more straightforward, action-focused experience. There's certainly choices in how you're leveling your character up as you choose different feats.
It would be
You
weird if you,
choose
like,
among
made
a number of different gear
them
sets
use
that
different
you can
things than
acquire,
they
and
would
there's like
use as
set
their
bonuses that
characters,
you can be
so.
chasing, which I think will be a lot of fun. Those have distinctive looks for each of the 4 characters, right?
Cool.
So you can really make each of the characters kind of your own in that sense. And I get the sense that there's also a good bit of choice, although I only played one mission myself during the demo I got. I think the implication I had is that you'll have some choices about when you tackle different missions, like what missions you want to do next, that kind of thing. Because there's these sort of like larger quests that you're going on. And then there's like, I think there's generally like 3 actual missions in each one of those bigger storylines.
Okay.
And then all told, there's somewhere in the vicinity of, I want to say there's 20 plus actual distinct missions that you're going on. There's multiple difficulty settings, right? So that you go in and you level up your gear, you level up your character, and then you could return to a mission and beef up the difficulty, make it a little
Third
bit
person's
harder,
interesting
but be
because
then
you're really
chasing
fucking over
better
there.
gear, which is a lot
Like
of
your
fun.
character's like
for
on the
sure.
left side of the screen, and you're like
And
over in the
you're
center.
also, each of the
weird
4
looking.
heroes are very different from one
Not
another.
bad, just weird.
For sure.
They're modeled after
Actually
the
kind of
characters that were in
comes
the
off
original
like,
books by R.A. Salvatore.
RE4 or
And
5.
so you can be
something like
Dritz and get
Yeah,
all these
kinda.
interesting stealth-oriented Drow Ranger style stuff. But alternately, you can play as Catti-brie and focus on ranged archery stuff.
I also think
And,
some of the animations are pretty good looking, and some of them are kind
and
of
a lot
stiff
of those
looking, so it's
different
weird.
I was gonna say
abilities
that too.
complement
Like
each
some of
other.
them, I'm like, oh, that
As
actually
well
looks
they
really
should.
good, and the other
For
parts,
sure.
I'm like, that could
so
look
that you
better.
get a
I think
sense
it's. I think a
of
big part of it too is just
kind of
the pauses
what you really
between
want out of a
moves.
cooperative game, right?
So there's not
Somebody
like a
who
fluid motion.
is
pause.
Well, even
going
his
to be really good
footwork
at
when you're
breaking
strafing
defenses,
around shit
somebody
looks
else who's
very
really good at
stiff.
sneaking
Yeah.
behind and
But then
doing
like
stealth
the
damage, somebody who
swinging
can
and stuff, I think looks
hit
really
foes
smooth
from a
and
distance
good
or
looking.
heal. All those different,
And they obviously want to
those
show off his
different
sword 'cause the
dynamics
lighting
are at play
effects
within the 4 main
reflection
characters
there
that you're getting
looks
to play
really good.
as.
For sure. Who did
Yeah,
you?
well, one
I
of
know
the swords, too,
the
is
gameplay is
supposed
not
to,
yours
like,
on the screen you're
be
seeing
lit
right now,
up
but
a
who
little
did
bit,
you get to
so.
play as in your time, or did you get to try all 4?
I played as Dritz. I felt sort of obligated to play as the classic character that everybody. I mean, I think in every MMO you ever go into, there's somebody who has chosen to name their character
Oh, yeah.
XXX Dritz, XXX,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's just like a thing. People love that character. I felt like I should give him a try if I was gonna have time with just any one of these leads, and he was fun. He's fast. He has lots of abilities to kind of
Marvel fans will probably like Wolfgar 'cause he
stealth
has a
and
magic
sneak up
hammer.
behind people to be able to get critical hits from behind. Anytime you get directly behind a foe, you can get a critical hit on them from behind and do extra damage. There's some
Thing has some hit points, man. They're being
Fucking
on
A.
a
some
while.
light
That was a
platforming,
long time.
traversal stuff as you're kind of jumping around these environments. But it's mostly focused on, going from one action arena-y space to
So
another.
it seems like.
And
But
then
if the combat's
getting in these
fun,
big
that doesn't
fights
bother
where you
me.
take out a bunch
Yeah.
of foes. You build up there's things like building up a meter to use your ultimate, including for Dritz, you can summon, he has in the fiction this Black Panther,
Cool.
who he can summon.
Yeah.
And that's like the ultimate for him. So when you build up your meter, you can summon her into battle and that kind of stuff. So
Interesting.
It's like a
I think that they've
600-pound
done a
panther.
good job.
Named
At least at
Quentin.
the brief time that I played with it, it was pretty clear that they understood the fiction. They understood the excitement around the D&D universe. They went to a lot of trouble to include lore elements so that once you return to the base, you can kind of like read about interesting stuff and learn more about the monsters and the cultures and stuff like that.
That's amazing.
so, yeah.
I feel like that's paramount, especially if they want to attract people like you who have been a part of D&D for so long. Last question I'll ask you was, you're talking about platforming, you're talking about a lot of hack and slash action. In your playthrough, did it feel satisfying? Did it feel meaty? Did you
Kind of seems like
I was happily
Vindictus
surprised. I mean,
as
I
well,
a
feel
little
like the verdict is still out on like the final flow of improving and really learning
seems
the
like you're just
combat
kind of going through
system.
stages, fighting
like,
shit, and
like
leveling
a lot
up,
of times if you
gearing
demo
up.
a game the
Which is
first
cool.
time, you're
I mean,
kinda just,
I'm not
banging on a
opposed
lot
to
of
that.
buttons.
Did you
You're
play
not
the?
exactly sure what
It's
you're
not the same
doing, and I'm
developer,
sure
but
the
it's very reminiscent of the
developers
last
know
like
that, and they put things on a easy
decent
enough
D&D
difficulty
game I
setting that
played.
you're not
I
just
don't
going to get
remember it. I have to
frustrated
see it.
playing.
Yeah, I can't
But it,
remember right
it
now,
went
but-
well. I
It was
liked
cool,
the sense
and it
that
was
each of the characters felt
kinda
different,
similar.
and that I could feel
Yeah, we
there
just hope a
being
game
kind
in
of
2021 would be a lot more
roles at
advanced
play
than
and
a
things
game
I
that
could
old.
do that
Agreed.
the other character on screen couldn't do. It can go up to 4 players all playing together, and they have instanced loot for each character,
Good.
right? So
Good.
you're never gonna. That's key, I
Yes.
think, at this
Some
point.
Josh
Sort of
going up,
accepted
going
practice.
grabbing shit. I'm like, what was
I
in there?
don't
Like
think
nothing
any
good.
game anymore should not have instance loot, but that's it. That's a topic for another time.
Yeah, exactly. And,
Rude.
But they also
I'm curious
scaled
how
the
there's loot
difficulty of the encounters as you add in
I'm very
additional
curious about the
players.
loot aspect, just because obviously they're choosing to use
So
like characters.
yeah, I mean,
that
and,
have, like,
and, then the
named
combat
weapons and
itself
stuff like that. So
felt
I wonder if I'll just increase your stats.
relatively simple and
That's what I'm wondering, too.
straightforward,
Maybe
but in a
there's
good
some
way,
skins or
right? I mean, this
something
is
to
the kind of
change.
game. If for those people who remember the old Dark Alliance, it was pretty simple. It was meant to be something you kind of just like hung out with your friends and chatted about your day while you beat up some monsters,
It was
right?
literally just loot.
And it has that quality here,
There
right? I
wasn't,
mean,
like,
this
skill trees
isn't
or
these
anything.
aren't like super crazy complex combos you're having to learn or anything like that. It's nice, fun combat where the interesting combos that appear are because you happen to hit the right button combo, and it just emerges as being something fun.
For sure.
Just throws a trap at him. Here.
So I had pretty
Get
good
in
time
that.
with it.
Cool. I think that's all you can ask for, especially in the preview sense. Solid
Yeah.
combat experience. They're doing stuff to please D&D fans. I think this is a good start. So when can we get our hands on this game, and on what platforms, Mr. Miller?
Yeah, they're aiming for launch on June 22nd of this year, so it's not too far out now. And kind of coming to all sorts of stuff. It's coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS4, PC, kind of the whole shebang of current and next gen consoles. No Switch to my knowledge is the one absence.
Cool. You love to see it. Well, thank you for taking your time to talk about your experience, and thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Yeah. So, I mean, what do we think?
It's really kind of hard to say because we didn't actually get to see anything systematic. We just saw combat, which is fine. I'm glad we got to see gameplay. Period. But I was kind of hoping to see like some under the hood stuff. I guess like what do they mean by loot? What do they mean by like what's the progression system? Because I do fall in this weird spot of like obviously I like that in games, but these are also characters with identities and like
Yeah.
very extensive history as well. So I'm sure regardless of that, like I'll be able to look past it. Those I'm bringing that up only because there will be people who might not be able to look past something like that if it's too like lore jarring for them.
Oh, there's always gonna be some people who aren't gonna be able to look past stuff like that, and
sure.
others that will.
I am thrilled to see that they have the 4 companions and that you can play as all 4 of them in co-op. So that's neat. You kind of get to relive that fantasy of them, going on these adventures and whatnot. And I'm curious how long the missions are because I think he said there was 20, 21, something like that missions. And then varying difficulties.
Seems like a lot.
It's
For the
pretty good amount.
gameplay, it looks like a lot of games will have like 4 chapters and like 3 missions a piece or whatever, and like that would be respectable in my opinion for a smaller game like this. But if it's got like 20 missions, that's quite a bit with different difficulties. Hopefully, stuff for replayability. They obviously said you can change the difficulty, but does that include
Increase
better
the
gear or
loot,
stuff like that? So
Yeah,
hopefully,
it's curious. And then I'm also curious to see like what the combat actually feels like because we're watching someone else play it. And
game journalists.
There is some stiffness there, but I also wonder if they're just like are we getting a Dynasty Warriors style combat? He did bring up that it was kind of simple, but it wasn't really meant to be like this complicated experience as much as just like a hack and slash game, pretty much like you would expect out of like a Diablo or something. So, which I'm totally fine with, as long as it's fun to play. So, which is hard to tell without actually playing it myself.
Yeah. Just by seeing it, how simple it looks in its gameplay doesn't really do much for me. I'm not super hyped for this game, but I also know I would play a game like this, especially because it has the co-op. That's a huge selling point for me. Also, leveling and gear, stuff like that, or whatever. I don't know if they said leveling or not, but I know they definitely said gear. I don't have an affinity for the story, but I could definitely appreciate whatever story they are willing to tell in this game and just play a cool action game. Third person melee arrow shooting, action game, which is not as common as if it's just a fucking shooter. And it sounds fun. I like the idea of like running around and dodging traps and fighting enemies. I do kind of feel mixed on how long it takes to fight certain enemies. Like if the fight is interesting, I don't mind the fight lasting longer because it feels like you're in a battle. But if they're just like fucking health sponges, damage sponges, that can get tedious. So I don't know if it's gonna land on one of those or something different. But overall, it looks pretty cool. I mean, like outside of the trailer we saw originally, this gameplay has me intrigued. I definitely, if this dropped, like as of right now, they show this gameplay and they're like, this game's out on Steam right now, I'd probably just buy it and check it out. So
I'm curious.
I guess that means I'm sold, but not like in a strong, super hyped way. But I'm curious about this game. I'd like to play it, and since it has that co-op, we could obviously play it together. So that'd be cool. So yeah, pretty curious about it. Definitely a lot better seeing just gameplay over that weird trailer we saw originally, because that almost had me worried.
That was a very strange trailer.
Yeah. There's also a trailer that dropped with all these videos that came out today. It's like a 1-minute trailer, but as soon as I started it, I think it's like Ozzy Osbourne or something started playing, and I'm like, I'm not gonna react to that because
can't anyways.
The music, but also I don't want to have to do some weird in YouTube editing. So, overall cool looking though. Definitely interested. I like third-person action games, and I like co-op, and I like everything about the game that I've seen so far. Although, like I said, when we're watching, it kind of reminds me of Vindictus or other third-person hub-based melee games like this, which is not a bad thing. I like games like that. So, anything else you want to say?
Mm-mm.
All right, let's move on to the dev diary. Maybe get some more info. This is via IGN. It's 3 minutes long, almost 4. And it's D&D Dark Alliance, Making Dark Alliance Episode 1. And let's go.
I think I'm a game designer today because of D&D.
As a D&D player, it really excited me that I was going to be able to connect my passion with my work.
I was always the dungeon master. I get real fun out of crafting really amazing experiences for players. My game career and my passion for D&D come back full circle is just amazing. The hardest part about getting a game off the ground is getting people to gather around and want it to be willed into existence. We're not short on ambition at the studio.
We're a small, very, very small studio. There's no red tape. I can come up with an idea on Saturday and on Monday put it in production.
Oh, interesting.
Kevin, the lead designer, and myself, we were like, why not approach Wizards of the Coast to see if we could do a Dungeons & Dragons game? The response I got back from WotC was they just wanted to shut us down, basically. They didn't want us to make a Dungeons & Dragons game, but we wanted to make one. So we pivoted. We're not going to work on a pitch. We're going to make this game as if we're making this game, and let's just go, YOLO.
Since we didn't have that programming power from the start, instead of doing that stuff in pre-prod, we did what we shouldn't do, build as you go.
It's an extremely risky way to make games. But we were very passionate about the brand, so we just kept plowing forward.
Starting to work on a new project, especially when it's an IP that you're basically starting from scratch. This could be absolutely frightening. But in our case, we saw it as an amazing challenge.
We moved super fast, which is why we were able to come up with a game that has a lot of stuff in it.
At that point, it was a top-down action RPG. You would gather up
interesting.
with your friends, you would smash monsters, grab loot, and progress. But it was missing something. It wasn't taking the characters, taking the Forgotten Realms, and rendering them to the level of fidelity that I wanted as a player. But we were still happy with our progress. We were growing as a team. At GDC, we got 6 offers from 6 different publishers to publish the game. Everyone really wanted it. I've been making games for 20 years now. I had never been on the side of a pitch where everyone wants the game.
That's interesting.
He'd been working for a year trying to get the gig, risking all his life, trying to get this project going.
Had a meeting with Wizards, and the response was like, well, it's still too small. It's not big enough. Take a different direction. I was just crushed. But there was something that I didn't know that was happening behind the scenes. So a little bit of time went by, and I had a heart-to-heart conversation on the phone with David. I'm like, come on, man. You gotta let us make this game. We really want to make it. Everyone wants in on it. Pick the publisher that you want us to work with. And so they decided, they said, you're not going to work with any of those publishers. We're going to publish it with you. From that day on, the game was greenlit, and we went forward with
That's probably why they did in the
as
first place.
publisher,
If other
us
people
as
wanted
the
to do it,
developer.
they're probably like,
The
well,
team
there's obviously
size
some
when
kind of
I
demand.
joined,
Yeah.
it was about 11 people to now 60 plus people.
I just said, okay,
Interesting.
I'm diving into it. I'm quitting my job. I'm joining you.
We need a diverse cast of characters to represent well the game that we want to make. If you're
She's singing in
passionate
Hammer
about your
Thought.
craft, if you're passionate about making games,
What'd you
then
see?
that passion
You
is
had
going
Hammer?
to come through in the game.
Because he hurls
But
it.
there was one condition
returns
when we
to it.
got greenlit.
Maybe he throws a 200 hammer.
We're going to double your budget and you're going to go
That's
bigger.
impressive.
So, like, what are you going to do
Maybe
now
they're
that
taking
you got to
liberties
make a
with it.
bigger and better
I
experience
mean,
for
maybe.
Dungeons and
I
Dragons?
could also be a part of the story that maybe I never saw. So maybe I
Yeah.
just don't know.
All right. What do we think of the Dev Diary? Short and sweet.
It is interesting that they literally did try to make another Dark Alliance game.
Yeah.
And then they decided...
It makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, and then they decided to switch it up. I still think I'm very curious on like their decision to use the main characters, or like it's kind of hard to call main characters, but named characters. And not that I'm complaining or anything. I guess I'm just kind of still surprised by that, because D&D games are usually like make your own character,
Yeah.
type of deal, you know. So, it sucks because like I just have so much hesitation when it comes to D&D games that I mostly just want to wait and see when it comes out and see what people are saying about it, because even if people are like, yeah, it's a fun game, that's probably enough for me to buy it.
If I hear one person say it's fun, I'll probably buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm probably just gonna buy it anyway. Like, just knowing myself. Like, I've already seen enough. I think it looks like it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to add though that I appreciate out of this dev diary is the passion translates to me. This game could be like pretty mediocre, but it does sound like, and you know, it's they're trying to sell a game, but
sure.
like if that story's even half true, and he really went to all those like went in all his directions to try and get this game made, I kind of really respect that.
Yeah.
Because Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro are like notoriously kind of shitty in a lot of ways, and I'm surprised at how transparent he was in that process of them going like, no, we're not interested.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, it's not big enough. And then other people are like, we'll publish it, and then they're like, nah, we'll publish it. Like, don't talk to other people. Like, it's really interesting how that happened, and it's kind of cool to see that they had other concepts, and then they're like, you know, we have these characters that people care about. Let's bring it in closer. Let's tell these stories in a more personal way. Which I really appreciate. So, you know, passion alone, and you know, if that is real, it's respectable, and I hope that the game's awesome, because it sounds like they give a fuck about it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just we've seen a little bit of gameplay, and it looks all right. But I also don't feel like we have the bigger picture. We haven't really heard anything about the gear. We haven't really seen much on like how varied these levels are going to be in missions and how much storytelling is actually going to be in it. We saw some mocapping of people doing stuff. So I don't know how much storytelling we're going to be doing here. But as for, you know, the dev diary, it does give some insight on how difficult it is to get the ball rolling on this game, and that they believed in their game that much to start developing a game without even having it
permission
approved. Yeah, it's really kind of crazy. So that's really kind of bold. So definitely respect that, and definitely like the passion. They don't sound corporate to me at all. They don't sound like they're just like saying whatever they need to get people excited. And it's also cool seeing that they started with like what they said, like 6 or 8 people, and now they have like 60 something. So obviously whatever they need to do needed a bigger team, and they got the funding to do it. So that you take that info for what it is, you know, interpret it how you will. But it sounds like, you know, they got the funding to get that much people, and it sounds like the project got a lot more ambitious. A lot.
It is interesting how often you hear stories about like a publisher getting just enough to go, okay, I'll do it. And you know, you hear that a lot, especially like in the Kickstarter realm, where like you're not getting enough donation money to make the game, but it's enough where the publisher goes,
His interest.
okay,
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, and that they, like you said, showed off at GDC and 6 people were interested in publishing it. I think that's probably what pushed them
I
to
guarantee
do it.
it was, yeah.
Yeah, because they didn't sound too stoked to do it in the first place, and I would take his word for that, because if they were stoked about making these kind of games more often, I feel like we'd have more.
And there would have been a 10-year ban on it.
Yeah. So
that was the weirdest decision I've ever heard anyone. We have a property, don't use it.
yeah, it's weird. It's really underutilized. It's crazy. So yeah, if this is the game that they're allowing to be made, hopefully it's worth it. I mean, at the very minimum, I just hope it's like fun to play. I don't need it to be amazing. If it's better than that, awesome. That's all I can ask for. But like, if it's just like a decent action game, that's really all I'm really expecting. And I hope it's better than that. But at the very least, it's got people working on it who are really stoked to be working on it. Very, very ambitious and passionate people.
For sure. I'm also interested like what kind of story they're going to tell, because
Same.
you know, at this point, these guys, the companions have been on so many different varieties of missions and stuff like that. I wonder if they're going to fall into more like tropey stories of them, or if they're actually going to try to tell something original. Like,
I feel like it's probably going to be like a side story that might like touch on some of the, you know, the stuff that fans will be able to go, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah.
Because it's all they're. I assume they all meet each other throughout the story, and they're all here together. So it's obviously at a certain point in that saga, And so I think the easiest way to tell that story is to not be anything specific to the books, but to play with what the books have established. I feel like that's what they're going to do. But I don't know. I haven't read the books, so I don't know shit about the
and
story.
there was no mention about Salvatore being involved as well.
Yeah, if he was involved, you would hear his name. They didn't say shit, which is revealing for sure. So I think like they're just dabbling with what's established. And maybe, you know, getting a little loosey-goosey with it, maybe. But time will tell.
For sure.
Anything else you want to say on the game?
I'll be keeping my eyes on it, especially because it's coming out in a couple months now.
Yep, same. I definitely will be keeping an eye out on this, and unless I see a trailer that comes out that makes it look worse than what we're seeing here, I'm probably just going to pick it up because it looks interesting enough for me to buy. So, yeah. So, let us know in the comments, what do you guys think of what we've seen of D&D Dark Alliance? Are you excited for it? Are you not excited for it? Is it the type of game you would prefer it to be, or would you have preferred it to be an isometric Diablo-style game, or some kind of turn-based RPG, maybe a third-person Witcher-style RPG, maybe a first-person shooter? That'd be fucking weird. Maybe you're that kind of weird person. Fighting game. What are you wanting from this game? What do you expect from this game? Do you think it's going to be good? Do you think it's not going to be good? Do you have a history with the Forgotten Realms stories and characters? Are you like Chevy and you have read the books? Are you like me and you're like, yeah, D&D is cool? Or you like, no, dude, I fucking don't know shit about that, but I'm so excited for it. Let me know everything you think about in the comments below. And a quick reminder, it's not really a reminder, it's kind of like throwing it out there. We recently filmed like 5 little mini episodes that will be coming out at some point soon on the Tasty Senpai channel, which is my personal channel, which I believe there's a link down below for that.
Should be.
Yeah, check down there. If there's not, we'll check into it as well. But yeah, we did more taste testing of foreign snacks, which was interesting to do.
I'm getting a sugar crush right now.
Yeah, me too. And yeah, check that out if you want to see more stuff that has nothing to do with gaming. Although I'm trying to think about what I'm going to do on that channel, and I might start talking about photography-oriented things as well, because I'm really big into photography and videography. So if you want more personal stuff from me and other people from around the channel, and maybe other people who are on the channel, go subscribe to the Tasty Senpai channel for more content. It's funny, I started in 2020, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make a second channel, and then everything happened. I'm like, I don't want to do anything right now. I gotta maintain my channel, and that's it. Yeah. And now like things are, getting a little better, and I'm like,
there's a light at the
yeah,
end of the tunnel.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm like, what was I gonna do with that channel? So we're gonna play around with it a bit, but yeah, just subscribe to it and let me know what you might want from it. But it's going to be personal stuff, so I'm just going to post whatever the fuck I want over there. But should be fun. So check that out. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. We have TastyCast coming up soon. Make sure to play the Plus Club games and the Game of the Month, which is Among Us. We got to do the same thing. Maybe this Saturday we'll play. And check out TastyCast. That came out recently. We talked about something. Remember what we're talking about? We talked with Chris.
Was that game releases that episode?
No. It was
one before. Yeah.
Talked with Chris about missing a bunch of episods. And then
his opinions on last month's games. And then we did
Xbox Bethesda.
Yep.
Yeah. And something else. Oh, Watch Dogs Legion multiplayer.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'll even look into that, too.
Of course, read you guys' comments. So check that out as well. But yeah, my name's Seth, of course. Chevy. And till the next episode, we'll see you guys later. Take it easy.